First contact and classification. Dr. Sarah Chen stared through the reinforced glass of her laboratory at the Galactic Classification Committee members, their crystalline bodies refracting light in a rainbow of nervous colors. The committee had arrived on Earth 3 months after first contact, tasked with assessing the planet's danger level for interstellar trade routes. Their current display of shifting prismatic hues suggested they weren't taking the tour well. And this specimen, she gestured to an empty terrarium, is where we usually house our Inland Taipan during research periods. The committee members' crystalline forms flickered rapidly between deep purple and alarming red, their species' indication of extreme distress. You keep the most venomous creature in your known galaxy in a transparent container. The committee head, Superior Assessor Zixel, vibrated in disbelief, their voice emerging as harmonious chimes translated through the universal translator. With only this primitive silicate barrier between it and your researchers. Sarah suppressed a sigh. After 6 weeks of showing various alien delegations around Earth's premier xenobiology research facility, she'd grown accustomed to their reactions. Earth's classification as a potential death world hadn't surprised anyone. What had surprised them was humanity's casual attitude toward their planet's dangers. The glass is specially reinforced, Sarah explained, maintaining her professional demeanor. And our handling protocols are extensively tested. In 3 decades of research, we've never had a serious incident. Never had a... Zixel's crystalline form pulsed with such intense vermilion that several junior committee members began to resonate in sympathy. Dr. Chen, your species keeps creatures capable of killing you in minutes for research, and you consider this normal. Sarah glanced at her tablet, checking the environmental readings. The committee's emotional resonance was approaching frequencies that could shatter standard glass. Thankfully, her lab used polycarbonate composites. It's not just normal, Superior Assessor. It's necessary, she said, pulling up holographic data displays. Our understanding of snake venom has led to breakthrough medications. The Inland Taipan's venom alone has contributed to treatments for various blood disorders, pain management, and even some forms of cancer. The committee's colors shifted to a contemplative blue-green. This was progress. Usually, alien delegations maintained stress-indicating hues throughout their entire visits. Besides, Sarah continued, seeing an opportunity, humans have learned to coexist with these creatures. We've developed antivenoms, safety protocols, and warning systems. It's part of our adaptive nature. Zixel extended a crystalline appendage toward the data display, their structure refracting complex patterns of light that the translator interpreted as deep thought. Your species' approach to dangerous fauna is unique in our experience. Most civilizations either eliminate threats or abandon hostile environments. That's not our way, Sarah replied, allowing a hint of pride to enter her voice. We study, we learn, we adapt. It's how we've survived on a world that other species might consider uninhabitable. The committee members resonated among themselves, creating a harmonic that the translator struggled to interpret. Finally, Zixel's form settled into a more stable configuration. Dr. Chen, your facility's application for Galactic Research Certification requires a practical demonstration of safety protocols. Their crystalline surface rippled with uncertainty. Given your species' unique perspective on danger assessment, we request a complete demonstration of your Inland Taipan handling procedures. Sarah's heart raced with excitement. This was the opportunity she'd been waiting for. A chance to show the galactic community that humanity's approach to dangerous wildlife wasn't reckless, but revolutionary. We would be honored, she said, carefully maintaining her professional tone. When would you like to schedule the demonstration? Immediately, Zixel chimed, their form shifting to a determined amber. Our risk assessment protocols require observation of standard procedures, not prepared presentations. Sarah blinked in surprise. Of course, I'll need to contact our head handler and... Your facility's certification application states that all senior researchers are qualified in emergency handling procedures. Zixel interrupted, their tone carrying harmonics of challenge. Are you not qualified, Dr. Chen? The other committee members vibrated with interest, their colors synchronizing into a spectrum of expectation. Sarah realized this was more than a simple certification request. It was a test of humanity's entire approach to dealing with dangerous wildlife. She straightened her lab coat and met Zixel's crystalline gaze. I am fully qualified, Superior Assessor. Please allow me 30 minutes to prepare the secure handling area and safety equipment. We maintain strict protocols, especially during unscheduled demonstrations. Zixel's form sparkled with what the translator suggested was approval. 30 minutes, Dr. Chen. We will observe your preparation procedures as well. They may prove as illuminating as the demonstration itself. As Sarah began her safety checks, she couldn't help but smile. The committee had come expecting to find reckless primitives who somehow survived on a death world. Instead, they were about to learn why humanity had not just survived, but thrived among Earth's most dangerous creatures. The Inland Taipan might be the deadliest snake on Earth, but humans had turned that danger into knowledge, medicine, and now, perhaps, their ticket to galactic acceptance. The challenge. The secure handling facility hummed with the sound of activating force fields as Sarah methodically worked through her preparation checklist. Behind her, the Galactic Classification Committee's crystalline forms cast dancing rainbow patterns across the sterile white walls as they observed her every move. These protective barriers, Zixel chimed, their form shifting to analytical azure, they seem remarkably thin for containing such a lethal specimen. Sarah secured her protective gear before responding. The force fields are actually the tertiary containment system. Our primary safety measures are knowledge and respect. She pulled up a holographic display showing the Inland Taipan's behavioral patterns. Understanding the creature is more important than any physical barrier. A junior committee member chimed in, their voice carrying harmonics of confusion. But your species databases indicate the specimen can kill 100 of your kind with a single bite. How can mere knowledge protect against such lethality? That's precisely why knowledge is our best defense. Sarah replied, running final checks on her handling equipment. The Inland Taipan is naturally shy and prefers to avoid confrontation. Most bites historically occurred when humans didn't understand or respect their behavior patterns. The committee members resonated among themselves, creating a symphony of skeptical harmonies. Sarah recognized their reaction. It was the same one she got from every alien species when they learned about Earth's wildlife management approaches. They couldn't understand how humans could study dangerous creatures instead of eliminating them. Dr. Chen, Zixel's voice cut through the harmonics. Your species' application for reduced hazard classification rests largely on demonstrating that your wildlife management protocols are sound. However, I must inform you that in the history of the Galactic Federation, no planet with multiple lethal species has ever received anything below a Class 3 Death World rating. Sarah paused in her preparations. There's a first time for everything, Superior Assessor. Humanity has learned to coexist with our planet's dangerous species, even benefit from them. We're not asking for Earth to be classified as harmless, just for recognition that our management protocols make it safe for interstellar commerce. The door slid open, and Dr. Marcus Wong, the facility's head of Venom research, entered carrying the secure transport container. His usual cheerful demeanor was replaced with professional focus. The specimen is ready, Dr. Chen. Final toxicity readings confirmed its standard levels. Sarah nodded, trying to ignore the way the committee members' colors shifted to alarmed crimson at the mention of toxicity. Thank you, Dr. Wong. Please initiate recording protocols for the demonstration. As Marcus set up the monitoring equipment, Sarah turned to address the committee. What you're about to witness is our standard handling procedure. Every certified handler must be able to perform these techniques perfectly before they're allowed to work with any venomous species. And if you make a mistake, a junior assessor chimed nervously. That's why we have multiple redundant safety systems, Sarah explained, activating her protective gear's force field. But more importantly, we understand the Inland Taipan's behavior. They're not aggressive unless threatened, and they give clear warning signs before striking. Zixel's form crystallized into a formal configuration. Dr. Chen, before you proceed, I must inform you that if anything goes wrong during this demonstration, Earth's classification will automatically default to Class 1 Death World status. The trade restrictions would be severe. Sarah felt the weight of her planet's economic future settling on her shoulders. No pressure, she thought, just demonstrating to a bunch of crystal aliens that humanity's deadliest snake wasn't that scary. A Class 1 designation would effectively end Earth's hopes of joining the galactic community as equals. I understand, Superior Assessor, she said, her voice steady. But what you're about to see isn't just about handling dangerous wildlife. It's about humanity's approach to challenges. We don't run from dangers. We study them, understand them, and find ways to coexist with them. The transport container's security systems disengaged with a soft hiss. Sarah took a deep breath, centering herself. She performed this procedure hundreds of times, but never with so much at stake. Recording systems active, Marcus announced from the observation room. Environmental controls stable. Force fields at full power. Sarah reached for the container's release mechanism. Committee members, please maintain absolute silence during the demonstration. Any sudden sounds or movements could disturb the specimen. She paused, allowing her words to sink in. I'm about to show you why humanity deserves its place among the stars, not despite our dangerous wildlife, but because of how we've learned to live with it. The committee's crystalline forms stilled, their colors settling into a tense spectrum of anticipation. As Sarah began the opening sequence of the containment protocol, she couldn't help but think that in all of human history, no snake-handling demonstration had ever carried such weight. The next few minutes would either open the galaxy to humanity or condemn Earth to isolation as a death world. The container's lid began to rise, and Sarah caught her first glimpse of scaled brown coils. Showtime, she thought. Let's prove that humanity's way of handling danger isn't just viable. It's revolutionary. The demonstration goes wrong. The Inland Taipan emerged from its container with fluid grace, its scales catching the light in subtle brown and gold patterns. Sarah maintained her steady breathing as she guided the snake with gentle movements of her handling hook. The committee members had shifted to a uniform pale blue, their species' indication of intense focus. Note the specimen's relaxed posture, Sarah explained softly, her voice barely above a whisper. No raised head, no defensive coiling. These are the behavioral indicators we monitor to ensure safe handling conditions. The snake moved smoothly across the handling surface, its tongue flicking out to taste the air. Years of experience had taught Sarah to read the subtle signs of a Taipan's mood, and this one was displaying textbook calm behavior. Perhaps this demonstration would go perfectly after all. Then the facility's lights flickered. The committee members' crystalline forms immediately flashed warning colors, their natural bioluminescence creating a strobing effect. The Taipan's head snapped up, its posture shifting from relaxed exploration to defensive alertness in an instant. Maintain absolute stillness, Sarah commanded, her voice carrying the quiet authority of experience. The snake was now fully alert, its head raised and neck flattened in the distinctive warning posture of a threatened elipid. From the observation room, she heard Marcus cursing softly as he worked on the systems. Power fluctuation from the committee's emotional resonance. It's affecting the containment field harmonics. The Taipan's head weaved slightly, its dark eyes fixed on the shifting lights of the committee members. Sarah knew she had seconds to prevent this demonstration from becoming a disaster. A single defensive strike from the Inland Taipan could deliver enough venom to kill 100 humans, and while she was protected by her gear, she doubted the committee would see anything except confirmation of Earth's status as a death world. Superior Assessor, she said, keeping her voice steady and low, I need your committee to slowly, very slowly, dim their bioluminescence. The light show is agitating the specimen. We cannot control our luminescence during stress responses. Zixel chimed, their own form pulsing with alarmed frequencies. It is an automatic survival mechanism of our species. The Taipan's tongue flicked rapidly, tasting the increasing stress pheromones in the air. Sarah could see its muscles tensing, preparing for a potential strike. The situation was deteriorating rapidly, but not in the way she'd prepared for. All her training had focused on managing the snake. No one had considered that alien observers might trigger a cascade of systems failures. That's when Sarah had her revelation. This wasn't just about demonstrating human protocols. It was about proving human adaptability. "Dr. Wong," she called out, still maintaining her position relative to the snake. "Initiate emergency protocol Sierra 7. "What?" Marcus's voice carried clear confusion. "That's for power outages, not." "Trust me," Sarah interrupted, never taking her eyes off the Taipan. "Committee members, what you're about to see is humanity's real strength. We don't just follow protocols, we adapt them." The emergency systems engaged, plunging the room into complete darkness except for the committee's bioluminescence. In the sudden change, even they fell silent, their lights dimming in surprise. Sarah moved with practiced precision in the dark, her muscles remembering countless training sessions. The Inland Taipan, like most snakes, relies heavily on visual stimuli for threat assessment. By removing competing light sources, we make your bioluminescence appear as natural background radiation, rather than potential threats. As she spoke, she carefully adjusted her position, using the committee's dim glow to cast her shadow away from the snake. The Taipan's posture gradually relaxed, its defensive display softening as the chaotic light show became a steady, distant glow. "Remarkable," Zixel chimed softly. "You transformed our species' involuntary stress response into a control mechanism. This was not in any of your submitted protocols." "That's because it's not about following protocols," Sarah explained, taking advantage of the snake's calmer state to begin guiding it back toward its container. "It's about understanding principles and applying them creatively. Humanity survived on Earth, not by having a perfect response to every danger, but by learning to adapt and improvise." The Taipan slid smoothly back into its container, displaying none of its earlier agitation. As Sarah secured the locking mechanisms, the regular lights gradually faded back on. The committee members had shifted to a deep purple that the translator suggested indicated deep thoughtfulness. "Dr. Chen," Zixel's voice carried harmonics the translator had trouble interpreting. "In all our evaluations across thousands of worlds, we have never encountered a species that turned a critical system failure into an impromptu safety measure. Your handling of this crisis was unprecedented." Sarah finished her safety checks before turning to face the committee. "With respect, Superior Assessor, that's precisely why Earth's classification needs to be reconsidered. Our planet's dangers haven't made us reckless. They've taught us to be adaptable, creative, and resourceful." The committee resonated among themselves, creating complex harmonies that the translator gave up trying to interpret. Finally, Zixel's form crystallized into what Sarah recognized as their formal assessment configuration. "Perhaps," they chimed, "we have been evaluating Earth's classification from the wrong perspective entirely. The question isn't whether your world is dangerous. It clearly is. The question is whether your species' approach to managing those dangers represents a new standard of safety protocols. Understanding and respect." The debriefing chamber hummed with excited energy as the committee members' crystalline forms cycled through colors faster than the translator could interpret. Sarah sat at the conference table, still in her handling gear minus the helmet, watching as Zixel attempted to bring order to the chaos. "One at a time," Zixel chimed, their form pulsing with authoritative harmonics. "Junior Assessor Crix, you had a question." The youngest committee member's crystal structure vibrated with barely contained excitement. "Dr. Chen, your species deliberately cultivates knowledge of dangerous creatures instead of avoiding them. But more than that, you've developed what appears to be an entirely new paradigm of risk management. How did this approach evolve?" Sarah smiled, remembering her own early days of fascination with dangerous wildlife. "Necessity, mostly. Humans evolved alongside these creatures. We couldn't just avoid them. Instead, we learned to understand them. Every venomous snake species has its own behaviors, its own patterns. Once you understand those, what seems deadly becomes, well, not safe exactly, but manageable. Yet your demonstration proved more than mere management. Another assessor chimed in. When our presence created an unexpected variable, you adapted existing protocols to create a new solution. This suggests a deeper principle at work. That's the key point. Sarah leaned forward, warming to the topic. Our protocols aren't just rules to follow. They're based on understanding fundamental principles. Why animals behave certain ways, how they perceive their environment, what triggers defensive responses. Once you understand those principles, you can adapt to almost any situation. Zixel's form shifted to a contemplative green. This explains much about your species' rapid advancement. Where others saw only threats to be avoided, you saw opportunities to learn. Exactly. Sarah pulled up a holographic display of medical research data. Take the Inland Taipan's venom, for instance. Yes, it's incredibly lethal, but understanding its molecular structure led to breakthroughs in treating blood disorders. What other species saw as a reason to avoid Earth entirely, we saw as a challenge to overcome and even benefit from. The committee members resonated with harmonics of growing comprehension. One of them shifted forward, their crystal structure refracting light in patterns of scientific curiosity. Your medical database indicates that you've developed treatments from other venomous species as well. From dozens of them, Sarah confirmed, expanding the holographic display. Snake venoms have contributed to medications for heart disease, pain management, and even some forms of cancer treatment. But it goes beyond medicine. Studying how snakes move has influenced robotics design. Their heat-sensing abilities have improved our infrared technology, and their scale patterns have inspired new material science. Fascinating. Zixel chimed, their form displaying colors of deep interest. You've turned what most species would consider evolutionary obstacles into technological advantages. But surely this approach carries significant risks. Of course it does, Sarah acknowledged. We've lost people along the way, researchers who pushed too far, too fast, or simply had bad luck. But each loss taught us something new, helped us develop better safety protocols, more effective treatments. The committee members rippled with colors of concern, but Sarah noticed they no longer displayed the panic-induced crimson of their earlier reactions. Instead, their hues suggested thoughtful consideration. What truly interests me, Zixel observed, their tone carrying harmonics of revelation, is how this approach extends beyond wildlife management. Your species applies these same principles to space exploration, technological development, even cultural exchange. You don't avoid potential dangers, you study them, understand them, and find ways to coexist with or benefit from them. Sarah nodded, feeling the surge of pride. That's humanity in a nutshell. We're not fearless. We just channel our fears into understanding and innovation. Every challenge is an opportunity to learn, to adapt, to grow. And sometimes, Marcus added from where he sat monitoring the Taipan's vital signs, to discover that what we feared isn't nearly as scary once we understand it. The committee members resonated in what the translator interpreted as thoughtful agreement. Zixel's form crystallized into their formal assessment configuration, but Sarah noticed their color patterns were markedly different from their earlier rigid bureaucratic displays. Dr. Chen, they chimed, I believe your demonstration has implications far beyond Earth's hazard classification. Your species' approach to danger management could revolutionize how the Galactic Federation approaches research, exploration, and development. Would your facility be willing to host observers from other worlds? There is much they could learn from your methods. Sarah blinked in surprise. This was more than she'd hoped for. Not just acceptance of Earth's methods, but recognition of their value to other species. We would be honored, Superior Assessor. Though you might want to start them with something a bit less intense than an Inland Taipan demonstration. The room filled with crystalline harmonics that the translator simply rendered as laughter. Perhaps wise, Zixel agreed, their form shimmering with amusement. Though I suspect many species will be more interested in learning how humans turned their planet's dangers into advantages. After all, every world has its challenges, but few species have developed such an innovative approach to facing them. A new perspective. 3 months after the Inland Taipan demonstration, Sarah stood in the facility's new Interspecies Education Center, watching as a group of crystalline junior researchers carefully observed a common grass snake through reinforced glass. Their colors shifted between fascination and nervousness, but notably absent was the panic their species had once shown around Earth's wildlife. Remarkable progress. Zixel chimed softly, their form displaying pleased harmonics as they approached. When we first arrived on Earth, my own color patterns would have been cycling through emergency frequencies at the mere thought of being this close to any Earth serpent. Sarah smiled, remembering how far they'd come. Your species adapts quickly when given the right framework for understanding. Though I admit, I never expected the Galactic Federation to establish a permanent research outpost here. How could we not? Zixel's form sparkled with enthusiasm. Your world has already revolutionized our approach to xenobiology. 8 other member species have requested permission to establish similar facilities on Earth. The facility's main display screen showed Earth's updated galactic classification. Class M7, Protected Biological Research World. Below it, smaller text read, Home to numerous species of research significance. Local population demonstrates advanced hazard management techniques. Restricted access. Research permits required. It's quite a change from our initial Death World classification, Sarah observed, though I notice you still kept some warning labels. Naturally, Zixel chimed, their tone carrying harmonics of amusement. Your world is still objectively dangerous by galactic standards. We've simply recognized that danger, properly understood and managed, can be a valuable resource. A soft alert chimed through the facility. Attention all personnel, the AI announced. Scheduled Venom extraction procedure beginning in Laboratory 7. Interested observers may view from the secure observation deck. Several of the crystalline researchers immediately began moving toward the observation area, their forms displaying eager anticipation rather than fear. Sarah watched them go with a sense of pride. I never thought I'd see members of your species voluntarily attending a venom extraction, she remarked. Neither did I, Zixel admitted. But your demonstration proved something crucial, that understanding transforms fear into fascination. Speaking of which, their form shifted to formal patterns. The Galactic Science Council has approved your proposal for the Integrated Risk Management Initiative. Sarah's eyes widened. She'd submitted that proposal weeks ago, almost as an afterthought. Really? They want to implement Earth's wildlife management principles across multiple worlds. With appropriate modifications for local conditions, yes. Zixel's crystal structure refracted light in patterns of approval. Your species' approach to studying and benefiting from dangerous organisms has applications far beyond wildlife management. Already, 3 worlds have requested assistance in reassessing their own hazardous species. A group of human students passed by, leading another delegation of alien researchers toward the herpetology labs. Sarah noticed how naturally the different species interacted now, sharing knowledge and perspectives, without the barrier of fear that had once existed. You know what the most interesting outcome has been. Zixel mused, their form displaying thoughtful harmonics. Other species are beginning to recognize that Earth's dangerous wildlife didn't just shape your technological development. It influenced your entire problem-solving methodology. Your species doesn't just survive alongside deadly creatures. You've turned that coexistence into a fundamental advantage. Sarah nodded, watching as another group of alien researchers gathered around a display showing the molecular structure of various snake venoms and their medical applications. We had to learn to think creatively about dangers, to see past the immediate threat to the underlying opportunities. Once you understand something, truly understand it, You can often turn what makes it dangerous into something beneficial. A philosophy that could benefit the entire galaxy, Zixel agreed. Their form shifted to display formal patterns, which is why the Council has another proposal for you, Dr. Chen. We'd like you to head a new division of the Galactic Science Academy, one focused on teaching other species how to adapt and benefit from their world's natural hazards. Sarah blinked in surprise. Me? But I'm just a wildlife researcher. You're the xenobiologist who showed the galaxy that the most dangerous world they knew of wasn't a place to be feared, but a source of invaluable knowledge, Zixel corrected. Thanks to you, species that once would have abandoned promising worlds are learning to study them instead. Civilizations that might have destroyed dangerous wildlife are discovering ways to benefit from it. Through the observation window, they could see the Inland Taipan in its habitat, the same specimen from the demonstration that had changed everything. It moved with fluid grace, every motion a reminder of the deadly efficiency that had evolved over millions of years. But now, instead of inspiring terror in alien observers, it drew fascinated attention. The galaxy has always been full of dangers, Zixel chimed softly. What we needed wasn't a way to avoid them, but a new perspective on how to approach them. Your species showed us that understanding transforms fear into opportunity. Sarah watched as human and alien researchers worked side by side, sharing knowledge and building bridges between worlds that had once seemed impossibly different. The Inland Taipan had indeed taught the galaxy a lesson, not about death or danger, but about the power of understanding to transform fear into progress. I accept, she said finally, turning to Zixel with a smile. After all, humanity's greatest strength isn't our ability to survive dangerous things. It's our talent for helping others see opportunities where they once saw only threats. The facility hummed with activity around them, a living testament to how far they'd come. Earth's deadliest snake had become a symbol not of terror, but of transformation, proof that with the right approach, even the most feared aspects of nature could become sources of knowledge, innovation, and interstellar cooperation.